Welcome to Women of Resistance. Born one of the triplets, 7-year-old Iman was unable to see from the very start. Her sight can be restored with medical intervention, but for Palestinians living in Gaza, mere survival is a struggle. Although even the basic medical facilities are almost non-existent now as the genocide rages on, Iman's mother Yasmin isn't giving up hope. Here is their story of struggle and hope.
Stars are not always in the heavens. Palestine has its own share of sparkling gems whose light helps to illuminate all our paths.
من دار المجدلاوي بحب أسمع أم كلثوم والصبح بسمع فيروز بحكي لسيدي هذا في الأخبار بحكي لسيدي حط لي فيروز بقول لي بتيجي لحالها عاد أجت لحالها يا مرسال المراسيل عالضيعة القريب
يا مرسال المراسيل عالضيعة القريب خد لي بدربك هالمنديل واعطي لحبيبي.
Iman's sparkle is made possible through the universe created by her large but close-knit family. Under occupation and in already difficult circumstances, the future for a young, blind Palestinian would have been challenging without a new Nakba. But this is a family that continues to defy the odds.
أنا اسمي يحيى. إحنا سكان معسكر جباليا شارع السكة. الوقت أنا في 95. من طفولتي من 95 عشنا اجتياحات وعشنا أشياء كثير. كان أغلب الأوقات اجتياحات بس الناس تضلها في بيوتها. تطلع اجتياح يجوا اليهود ويطلعوا ويروحوا. خلاص القصف والدمار اللي يكون بين حلمك وتكمل الحلم عادي طبيعي. كانت حياة وأحلام وطفول كان كل واحد من الأطفال بيبني حلمه على إشي ويكبر حلمه. أنا بنيت أحلامي وحققت أحلامي. يعني أنا بالنسبة لي حققت أحلامي إلي. أما مثلا أجيالنا أو أجيال أولادنا أنا حلمت لأولادي وراح أحلامهم. بس حققت أنا من أحلامي جزء من أحلامي.
The joy brought by knowing you're in the embrace of a large, loving family. The sadness comes when that unit becomes fractured and finds itself torn apart with tragedy on the horizon.
إحنا كنا ساكنين في بيت عيلة، إعمامي، ولاد عمي، يعني حياة حلوة، عيلتك حواليك، ولاد عم، عمام، تطلع تنزل، الأخوة مع بعض، كنا أخوة مع بعض، يعني عيلة مكون 7 عمام، إخوتي 5 وإحنا 3 خوات، كانت إحنا بيتنا مجمع بيتنا كنا عايشين حياة حلوة، كان كل شيء موفر، وتفرقت العيلة، سواء العيلة العمارة أو سواء بيتنا أسرتنا تفرقت، كل واحد راح في اتجاهه في نصيبه في شغله، سنين ما شفتش أخوتي. لكن ضايل العيلة حتى لو عن طريق التواصل حتى لو عن طريق السوشيال ميديا ضايل العيلة. المأساة اللي عشناها طبعا الحروب الاجتياحات كانت هي عبارة عن اجتياحات ما كانتش عبارة عن حروب. كنا أطفال كنا صف 5 ابتدائي عمري 10 سنين تلاقي الرصاص والقذايف تلاقيهم من وين ما أجا. خسرنا واحد من العيلة كانت أصعب ظروفنا. في ثالث يوم برضو خسرنا ابن أختي.
Dispersed though they are, Palestinians are adept at sharing their stories and passing down both history and a DNA that is intertwined with a sense of knowledge-seeking and steadfastness.
يحكوا لنا يشرحوا لنا كان لكم تاريخ وكان يعني وصار أيام 48 وأيام 67 صار في كذا حرب في كان لنا أراضي اليهود احتلوها. بعد ما كبرنا إحنا عن نفسنا إحنا اللي دورنا وزودنا الثقافة عنا. بس إنك تروح على البحر في أوقات ممنوع إنك تمشي تسبح في البحر، ممنوع إنك تركب سفينة، يعني نفسك تتطور أو إنك تشوفها زي البلاد اللي برا منعوه عنك. آخر دولة وصلتها أنت وصل عندك التطور أو وصل عندك إنه أنت تعرف إيش بصير.
In Hamlet, British playwright William Shakespeare writes, "To die, to sleep perchance to dream. Aye, there's the rub, for in this sleep of death what dreams may come." It seems dreams and death are very much intertwined for Palestinians living under the genocidal whims of Tel Aviv. In another place, without this man-made hell, Iman's story could have been entirely different.
نفسي أشوف ماما وبابا، نفسي أشوفها معي، أشوف أختار اللون اللي بدي إياه.
لحد ما أنا تزوجت وأحلامي وقفت وكملت باقي جامعتي، كان ضايل لي فصل كملته في البيت وبعد هيك وقفت، لأنه درجة إنه شهادتي الجامعية ما دورتش عليها أجيبها، لأنه في حالة عندي ما بتسمحليش إنه أطلع من باب البيت لو دقيقة واحدة وأسيب. بنتي أول ما تزوجت أول 3 شهور صار حمل 3 توائم. حملت بال3 توائم، كان بده تكاليف وعلاجات وادويه. بعديها قول اسبوع عملت عمليه. مشينا فتره الحمل كيف ما يعني بصعوبه. كنا نروح عن طريق على المستشفى، نقول انا بعاني مثلا من مشكله فلانيه، نحكي ونشرح لهم. رحت على مستشفى الشفا، بنتي راحت على ضلتها في الحضانه 3 شهور. البنت كانت هي عن طريق خطا طبي كفيفه. عانينا قبل الحرب معاناه معاها واشياء كثير علينا معها، بس ان احنا في خلال الحرب البنت صارت تشكي من اشياء قد ما بدك تروح، قد ما فيش موارد، ما فيش علاج لبنتي اصلا. اساسا من قبل الحرب ما فيش علاج لها في قطاع غزه، لانه كان كل علاجها عن طريق السفر برا. وبنتي لها مراحل علاج والها عمليات والها طريق انها تشوف. معبر مسكر، لا هو قادر يخش موارد طبيه ولا هي قادره تطلع. لقيت احنا قبل 6 شهور من قبل الحرب ووسعنا البيت عشان البنت تقدر تتحرك. قعدنا فتره طويله عبال ما احنا قدرنا نجمع او قدرنا انه احنا بنينا لنا حلم. انتقلنا من مرحله لمرحله. هذا كان حلمنا، بيت بس لكن بيت سعيد، حياه مرتاحه. بنتي احلامها بدنا نبني لها في احلام، عملنا لها غرفه. الغرفه باجهزتها باغراضها بكل حاجه البنت تتمناها موجوده. انها تعرف ان هذه غرفتها، بتنام بتصحى ترتيب، كل حاجه كانت تعملها هي بايدها. وديتها على الروضه. البنت كان عمرها 3 سنوات وتكون حافظه 80 كلمه انجلش. اي طفل عمره 3 سنوات لسه طفل صغير، لسه بتعرف على الدنيا، هي تكون عندها او واعي لاشياء ثانيه. تفتحي لها انت مجرد انشوده، تفتحي لها مقطع تعيد لك اياه. ولو خلصت الحرب حيفتحوا المعابر، حيصير في علاج، حيصير في سفر. اول مشوار بعد ما نبدا ناسس حالنا اطلع اكمل علاج بنتي، وممكن اروح اعالج بنتي واكمل لها مرحله علاجها، بعدين ندور على احلامنا اللي راحت. في حلم ابدا من حلم.
The Gazan coastline, the envy of many, has become a makeshift location for little Iman's temporary home. It is from a humble tent that Yasmin continues to provide this beautiful girl with a sense of wonder and stability in these chaotic times.
بتصحى من النوم بنشاط، يعني عندها كامل من الطاقة، بدها تفرغه بأي حاجة، بدها بتفرغه للحاجة الصح. يعني بتقعد تلعب هي وأخوها، بتقعد على الجوال، بتحفظ طول ما فترة الصبح أول ما تصحى تحفظ إيش في أناشيد، إيش في إحنا عطيناها تقعد تسمع فيه على الجوال، إنه قبل ما تطلع، وعشان الصبح بيكون الجو بارد كتير. بعدك بتطلع، أو إنه إحنا مثلا بنقوم نعمل الفطور بتفطر، بتحب تكتشف حتى هي إيش بتاكل، بتحب تعرف إيش الموجود، بدها تعرف حتى لما بتاكلش منه بتعرف ايش هو الموجود او ايش احنا حاطينه او ايش احنا بناكل. بتشوفنا مثلا انا قاعده بكنس في الخيمه تقول هات انا ماما بدي اكنس. عندها حب المساعده، بدها تكتشف ايش كل اللي حواليها. المطبخ بدها تعرف وين مكان الكاسات، وين مكان الصحون، كيف بتحطهن، كيف بترتبهن، انت بتجليهم بعدين بتشطفيهم. عندها حب استطلاع لكل شيء. يعني كمان اغلب الاوقات لعبها مع اخوها، تلعب مع اخوها، بتصير تحكي او بتصير انها تمثل انه هي قاعده في الدار او هم قاعدين عائله، هي البنت او هي المراه وهو الزلمه، كحوار عائلي بيكونوا قاعدين وبيلعبوا مع بعض. يعني وانت بتكون قاعد بتسمع منها اشياء وبتسمع منها افكار، بتكون واقع، يكون الواقع بتمثله. بتروح مثلا بدنا ميه، بدنا اغلب استعمالنا للمي المالحه، ميه البحر، لانه مش متوفر مي حلوه بالكميه او احنا مش مستطاع. تروح تنزل على البحر، اخوها بروح معاها على البحر، بنزل بعبي الميه، بنخلص امور الترتيب وامور، وبتتحمم بتغير بتنشط. بعدين بيجي موعد في ساعه معينه لازم امون تدرس فيها.
Iman's fighting spirit and courage, watered and nourished by her brave mother, is a very Palestinian trait. In spite of every obstacle, they will carve out a path. The circumstances might be dire, but knowledge is forever, The bombs may fall, but one day they will stop. But Iman and the rest of her people will get to show the world how brightly they sparkle.
الحرب ما أثرتش على تعليمها بحاجة. الحرب ما أثرتش على إنه أنا أوقف لها مرحلة دراستها أو أوقف إنه هي إيش البنت حابة إنه أوقف أحلامها. تقعد في ساعة معينة بتقعد أمونة بتقعد تقرا بتعرف بتضلها تتلمس الأحرف إنه الحواس اللي في إيديها يضلهم شغالين. في حواس في أطرافها صبيحة بحسوا أدق التفاصيل إنه هي تضلها عارف الأحرف إنه تضلها ذاكرة. حتى لو خلصت الحرب إنه أمونة ما انفصلتش انفصال كامل عن التعليم. إنه في كان تتردد لو إشي بسيط لو ساعة في اليوم تتردد على القراية أو تتلمس الأحرف إنه تعرف إنه هي لسه ضايل مستمر مرحلة التعليم تبعتها ومستمرة حياتها.
1+1=2.
ما اشترك. سقف لحالك سقف لحالك. شطورة.
تعرف أنت ستار؟
ايش ستار؟
نجمة. والله أنا بعرف.
ترى فيها
شمس. صن.
يا عين.
كرسي.
يا عين.
شعر.
ما اشترك.
قولي لهم إيش يعني ولد وإيش يعني بنت؟
الولد باي والبنت جاي.
Joining me in the studio today to discuss Iman's story is Marieha Hussain, a teacher and activist who has had her own struggles in supporting the Palestinian cause. Welcome, Marieha.
Thank you.
When we look at the story of Iman, that we've been watching, Marieha, having a disabled child, requires a lot of change in the way you parent your child. You have to make special, for example, in the room, you have to kind of create an environment where the child can adapt to the situation. And yet we see in the case of Palestine, in the story of Iman, she has been displaced often, multiple times. How difficult would you say it must be for the mother and the family to raise this child?
Well, firstly, I think we can agree that caring for a child with specialized medical needs is incredibly difficult under normal circumstances, where here we are afforded medical care, we have safety and security. I think in the case of Iman and her mother Yasmin, their circumstances are extraordinary. Under the threat of violence, displacement, and with the scarcity of food, water, and medical supplies, their challenge is undeniably difficult. I think that in her case, Yasmin and Iman need support, not just individual support, personal support from individuals like us, but the community and international support. And without that, I would fear for children like Iman and their growth, their development, and their safety.
Absolutely. And in fact, the children of Palestine are specifically being targeted, which is really sad to see, because it seems like there is a special war. This is the only war, I think, we see whereby children are actually the targets. But despite everything that's going on, Marieha, there is this resilience in Yasmin, Iman's mother. And we've talked many times about the resilience of Palestinian women, and it still continues to shock us, in the way they are. She says she doesn't allow her one day to go without studying. She's teaching her English, and she is adamant that when, there is a break in the war, she'll take her for medical intervention. Where do these people get this resolve from?
I think it's clear to see that the strength and resilience of mothers like Yasmin is a true testament to the power of a mother's love. I think it's innately the quality of a woman and a mother, and it is a real inspiration. I think that if I could be half the mother Yasmin is in the circumstances she's in, I would be a great mother. If I could be half of what Yasmin is in the circumstances that she's in, she's showing such courage that despite everything that's going on with her, despite facing death almost daily, her and her child. She has the courage to dream of a better life and a better future and life beyond this war in Gaza. And I think that is truly courageous. I think it's an inspiration. And that is the true resilience of a woman and the power of a mother's love.
And I think this is what resilience is all about, or resistance. When we talk about the women of resistance, it's not them taking up arms, but just being put there, just doing the day-to-day activities, just raising their children, just doing the basic things. That in itself is resistance, isn't it?
Yes, just being able to carry on day by day in circumstances that are vying to tear you down every day and snatch your children from you, a life or death experience every single day, just to get through that day, make sure that your children are somehow fed, somehow clothed, and somehow survive another day. I think that that's a true resilience, mental, physical, spiritual. Okay. That is true resilience right there, yes.
Absolutely. Now, Marieha, you've also been a teacher, a school teacher. You are a mother yourself. In your experience, how much do you think is the torture that's happening on the children in Palestine at the moment? What kind of effect is it having on these children? Because we know that these are the children who are the future of hopefully a Palestine that will still be there. What kind of mental toll is it taking on them?
I think it's safe to say that the impact of the war, the trauma, the displacement, the loss of innocence, the loss of childhood, I think the impact will be profound. I don't think you need a PhD to know. Just simply being a mother will tell you that the impact on these children will be profound. As a teacher of psychology, I know that that they will need long-term care for the rest of their lives, for decades, and most probably for the next few generations because of generational trauma and through the process of epigenetics. And as a mother of 3 small children, I can't imagine these children coping and surviving and thriving without vital support. Again, not just through individually what I can do and what you can do for them, and not just through our community, but also sustained international commitment to their education, their healthcare, and their psychological well-being after what they have endured. It's going to be a real uphill battle for them, and for us to support them, they will need an incredible amount of support, and I just hope that they know that we will be here to provide that.
Absolutely.
And it's our duty.
Definitely. And just to remind our viewers, you are watching Women of Resistance, where we highlight the plight of women who were subjected to a genocide in Gaza. Marieha, let's talk about you. You had your own brush with the law. You were simply holding a placard. Yes. Tell us about that.
Yes, so on the 11th of November 2023, I attended the first of many national marches. It was known as the Million Man March at the time. And I had with me a placard in which I depicted the then Home Secretary and the then Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak and Suella Braverman, as coconuts. And the reason I did that was because I was wanting to highlight that we had this diverse cabinet, we had this really diverse administration, and they had put forward the most racist domestic and foreign policies. Suella Braverman's malicious and vindictive rhetoric around, Pakistani men and homeless people and Palestinians and calling it hate marches, and Rishi Sunak, kind of co-signing all of it with his silence. And as we all know, silence is complicity. And their policy and attitude towards Palestine was deeply racist. It's profoundly racist. Yeah. And so I was highlighting that this could really have only happened, this genocide could only really have happened through the complicity of people within our own ranks first. And so took them on a really, placed them on a really satirical placard and went about my way. And then, a far-right Zionist, Muslim, deeply Islamophobic Twitter site, Harry's Place, uploaded my picture. The Metropolitan Police worked with them and within 6 minutes uploaded my picture with a wanted notice for me. And that triggered, a spiraling chain of events for me. I was charged with a racially aggravated public order offence. I was pregnant and I was enduring, an upcoming trial and preparing for it. And then at 9 months pregnant, I went for a 2-day trial, and I was thankfully found not guilty and acquitted, which is really, really important, because criticising our politicians is well within our rights. It is a freedom of speech that we were awarded by this country, that they stand so proudly on. The West is so proud of their, their history and their notion of freedom of speech. And what we have seen through the Palestine cause is their continuous oppression on our freedom of speech. So trying to criticize your politicians for their stance on Palestine or any other issue can very easily land you a charge. So I lost my job, we moved home, I pulled my son out of school for a little while. We had people looking for us, we had hateful, emails and messages and all sorts. But despite that, despite the losses, I will take it graciously. I stand by the Palestinian cause and for any oppressed people. And it was I've said it before, it was a small price to pay.
That's very interesting, Marieha, because, despite, it has had a personal cost on you. You've suffered, like you mentioned. Why do you think it's important that despite all these constant threats to us as individuals, that we don't stop speaking, we don't stop fighting for the rights of Palestinians? Why is this so crucial?
I think on a personal level, it's important that we never stop fighting for a humanitarian cause. It is our duty. It's about dignity. It's about justice. And we know, as I've said before, that silence is complicity. And I will, history will test us. And we will have to see where were we at this time. We cannot be straddling the fence now. You're either on the right side or you're the wrong side, and straddling the fence means you're automatically on the wrong side. So we must challenge the status quo. We must challenge the injustice here. We must challenge the failures of our government, the betrayal of mosques and community leaders. We must boycott. It's having a profound impact. We must challenge the media, their misinformation, their disinformation, the hypocrisy by the Western media. And we must challenge those that are in positions of power, have platforms, and have been silent. And so if we don't, then we have perpetuated the cycle of oppression.
Absolutely, Marieha. And I think this is so important because the fight is on so many fronts, like you said, it's within ourselves, it's within our mosques, within our own families. And it is simple now. You are, I've always said this, Palestine is a litmus test. You are either on, one side, on the side of the truth and the right side, or the wrong side. There is no middle gray area in this anymore. Thank you so much, Marieha, for being with us today. And thank you all for watching. We leave you with the sounds of Palestine by the artist Saif. Goodbye.